Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond, broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at you and Gloves Off, and number one, I want to welcome you guys to the show, and we got a special edition, kind of something that's been going on in the community for a while. I got Mr. Mendoza here that's going to explain a little bit, which deals with the dog pound and some issues there. How are we doing today, Javier? We doing
Pretty good, yeah.
Have you been? Well, number one, I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, me too.
And, last year was a tough year.
Yeah, very tough.
And hopefully there's a lot of people that are hurting. But I think everybody within the community is helping one another, at least trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
But for folks out there, there was some issues with the Laredo, what's the name?
Animal care facility.
Animal care facility, the animal shelter.
Yeah.
There were some pictures that were floating around on the internet. There was an investigation, a whole with the director and so on and so forth. But we're going to get back to the nitty gritty because you yourself have actually, you got an emergency contract, right, to go clean it up? How was that?
The unfortunate thing is it was not, I felt sorry for the dogs. I felt sorry for the animals there. There's no structure. And what I mean by structure, there is no accountability as who's at the top and to make sure things get done. As a business owner, if I would have run anything like that, I would have been out of business the first month. You know, one of the things that we went when I went to go look at the shelter, that was right after La Gordiloca had posted pictures and stuff, and the city had brought in a different department to go in and clean them. I think what they did was high pressure wash. I don't know what they did, but the agreement that I had come with the city with the purchaser was that they would provide the disinfectants, that they had all that, the chemicals, to disinfect the kennels. They told us that, I told them, okay, this is the way we work. I need to make sure that the dogs are out of the kennels. How we're going to work, how is that going to work? Because the way, that I've done in the past at different animal shelters, they take the animals out. They either put them in the truck, where they collect the animals from.
Sure.
Or they put them in the portable kennels. And so when we get there, the agreement had been that they would be empty, at least one row. That was not the case. So they had already started wrong. And so most of them didn't know what the hell was going on. And that's not their fault, If your leader is not there guiding you, you're not going to know what to do. And so they had put the animal handlers, the ones that pick up the animals, the strays, and so they were the ones getting the animals out of the cages, but 1, 2, 3 at a time. So it took us even longer to clean, and so when we got there, we use a different method where we use chlorine tablets and just to rinse them off. And they had gotten upset, and we're like, well, I told them, where's the solution? Where's the disinfectant? And they didn't have any. That's like a big time no-no. I mean, how do you have a shelter without any disinfectant?
So they didn't have any disinfection whatsoever? Did they run out or they didn't have any?
They just had degreaser. And
degreaser is not disinfectant.
Yeah, that doesn't disinfect anything. And so the other product they had was Downy soap. That doesn't disinfect anything either. It cleans, but it's not going to disinfect parvo, it's not going to disinfect distemper, it's not going to disinfect any of those diseases, dog diseases, the canine diseases. So I left, I went to go get a hydrogen peroxide based disinfectant, which is a good product to kill parvo and distemper and those kind of viruses. So we started doing that, but my employees are telling me, hey, they're telling us this and they're telling us that we're not doing things right. And I'm like, just ignore them. They haven't done anything for the longest time. They should be arrested for animal neglect. what the director should be. I mean, it's my thing is not the political aspect of it. My thing is more the animals, you know. And the way I saw it, Paul, was that they were waiting for a parvo outbreak to kill most of these animals, so that way they can free up space. Because if you don't have disinfectant,
Wow, that's pretty bad.
if you don't have the disinfectant, then you're asking for an outbreak. And there was no bleach either. They didn't have anything. So, you know, we cleaned them and everything. There's one incident where one of a female dog had her puppies. A couple of them were born stillborn. You know, they didn't have their hair. And another one was like a little bit alive, but it died. And they told my staff, don't say anything, just leave them like that. Don't bother that kennel. And so I was like pissed, you know. So I took a picture of that kennel with the two puppies and the three puppies, two of them without any fur. And so their thing is that they have a vet. What is the procedure, and why are there pregnant dogs mixed in with regular dogs? Because in one other kennel, because they have 4 houses and they have 2 rows of kennels each house.
Sure.
They're outdoor. They just have the patios with huge pads.
Sure.
And in one other kennel, a puppy got out. The next door dog, a pit bull type breed, killed it. So they have pregnant dogs everywhere. And my thing is, I've never seen that before. You know, like if you have a pregnant dog, you have the vet come in, you make sure that they're in a certain area. So when the puppies are born, you know, they're looked at, make sure everything is taken care of. There's procedures for all that. Here, there is none. There's no procedures on how to handle the dogs. There's no procedures on the volunteers. There just wasn't any. There was no procedures on how to clean. It appeared that they had the proper equipment to clean, because I saw the brushes, you know, that the scoops, and they had all that, but they didn't have the disinfectant. And so maybe they ran out. I have no idea. Maybe they just ran out. They didn't know where it was, or I don't know.
You know, several years ago, there was a problem when there was some campaigns going on. Mm-hmm. And I had received 2 letters from, and I'll show them, from the city staff of the dog pound. The employees had sent to the then city manager. And everybody became an uproar because they said, oh, this is false information. This is, where did you get all that stuff? And I have those letters, which I'm going to post right now. And what happened was that there were problems then, 2 years ago. And they had removed directors. They had done whatever they do, as always. And I think they had no food. They had no heat. That was the issue. That they had run out of food. And nobody was buying food. So everybody was in a food drive. We did one, and several other candidates did one, and that a hate group of came out and said, you know, you all are doing this because of candidates. No, it was not that. You know, this is the reason why. But it seems to be that there's always a problem there, and unfortunately, you know, we're in a type of situation here in Laredo, though it's a habit that they just kind of put people everywhere, and who cares, whatever happens, kind of like, it's just little jacks.
Yeah.
If most of them fall out, fine. If not, you know, that's the kind of attitude that's happening. But you kind of see a lot of employees from different departments complain, mm-hmm. and nothing gets done. And I think that's what's happening here. I've seen the pictures that were posted out. They're pretty gruesome. Then all of a sudden they come out within less than 24 hours with an investigation, and they say everything's honky-dory, you know. I mean, not even Sherlock Holmes would have done that. You know what I'm saying? And now we're dealing, and you're coming back, not even a week later, saying, hey, you know what, there's problems there. I think that whole thing should be evaluated.
Yeah, my main thing, Paul, is to bring awareness as to what they're lacking. One, there's no standard operation procedures. They have no idea what they're doing. They think that because they're dogs and cats, that it doesn't matter what happens to them. But there's money there. The animal shelter has money. They have a vet with a contract of $100,000 or $150,000 a year.
That's a nice contract.
The salaries for the director and the operations manager are like CEO type salaries, and so the money's there. It's not like they're lacking anything. And so my thing is, why are the dogs lacking? Why if they have good staff there. Several of the people that I met with are good people. There's just no guidance, and the person on top is the one responsible. And so that I said, you know what, I need to bring awareness, because the only ones that are suffering are the dogs and the cats. They're not being handled properly, so they get aggressive. One little dog bit one of the handlers. Let's just put it that way. When I was there, a little dog. So imagine they want volunteers to clean the kennels, but they don't know how or how to show them, or who's going to show them, because while we're cleaning the kennels, nobody knew and nobody wanted to do that, because they have no system in place. And then they said, well, the people who used to clean them all quit. Okay, so where's the literature? Where's the training? So we can do something for the volunteers. That's why, one, they need a volunteer handbook. One that, that says that, what, if you volunteer for your first time, you're only allowed to do this. Once you start, with one of the handlers or one of the shelter employees, and you're handling dogs, that's going to go hours, so you can move up to the next level. So you can now, and the third level would be where you can handle the dog, take it out of the kennel, put it in a portable kennel, and then clean the kennel. But there has to be some sort of accountability. There has to be some sort of method to where it's safe, not only for the volunteer, but where we're not held liable as a city. I mean, that's the main thing. You can't just put volunteers to go handle dogs that were out, we don't know if they're aggressive or not. And then if you handle it wrong, they become agitated, and what? They become aggressive. They'll bite you. How can we put volunteers to do that? But you should have seen the kennels, Paul. I mean, they were disgusting. All they think they were doing was high pressure washing, but that's not going to do anything. The bacteria, the viruses are still there.
Well, that's what gets me. It's that what you said about the parvo, that they're waiting just for the parvo just to explode and wipe them all out.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. And hopefully that's not the case. Man, it's just a thing about cleaning up and making sure that everything is done right.
And it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy.
No, not at all. I've had dogs and stuff like that, but I had a friend of mine that had a dog that was dying of cancer. Mm-hmm. And I told him, you know what, why don't you put it to sleep? No, it's been my dog, and I'm not going to do that. It's gonna. Somebody took a picture, called the police, had him arrested. Okay? Comes out. They took him to the veterinarian, and the veterinarian put him to sleep because he had cancer. He was going to die. Mm-hmm. What happens here? Those pictures that were there, and if it's true and everything else that goes through, there should be some criminal charges, not only on the director, the employees, the veterinarian, everybody that's associated with that. Because I guarantee you, if you have a dog that's half like that, or if I have one, I guarantee you that we're going to be doing a little drive to go put our fingerprints in some page. And that's just the way it is. And I don't care about politics. Let's do the right thing.
Yeah. And that's the main thing why I wanted to talk to you, Paul. Like, when you asked me about that, I was like, yeah, I mean, I have no problems doing that. I would want the director to resign. I don't think anybody should be charged criminally for, I think they're just over their heads with what is going on there. So I think people should resign. The people supposedly who were in charge of cleaning the kennels did resign. But how does a director allow that to happen to begin with? That goes to show you that person should not be there, Paul. She may be the nicest person. She may be, may have her master's degree and all that, but she's never run an animal shelter before in her life. She was placed there for I don't know what reasons, before she became intern, because she didn't have any experience. And it goes to show that the way it is being run right now, it's the same as it was 2 years ago the first scandal hit. So my thing is not like, people on the radar are like, well, she's so great, and orale friend, que you do friend, and que we need to end cyberbullying friend, and que all this. Okay, that's fine, but what about animal cruelty? Why don't we start with animal cruelty? Because if we end animal cruelty first at the shelter, I can guarantee you the cyberbullying would stop.
Well, there's a difference between cyberbullying and owning up to a mistake. I have a mistake, I messed up, I screwed up, I'm fixing it. If people want to trash you because of that mistake, it's fine. But now if they start going after you because of your looks or because of what
And
you've
there were a lot of people
done,
doing
that's cyberbullying, and that's a total different entity, and people should not do that.
Yeah.
And public officials should understand that
It comes with
it comes with it. If not, get out.
It comes with the salary.
If you're a public official, public entity, if you've been elected, it's going to come part of the job.
part of
And
the
then unfortunately, here in Laredo, that's just the way it is. There's an old saying, te acarician, te cogen, and that's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, that's it. I think she's a nice person. I interviewed her before. I'm sorry that it's happening to her, but we have to own up to mistakes. And if the city's allowing that to continue, then shame on the city. And we cannot push this under the carpet anymore. It's already up and there, or get out of the business of dog pound. You see, this is what I see. There's an old saying: you can never soar like an eagle if you flop around with turkeys, and that's the city of Laredo. Literally, we say we have to change all the public officials. We've been changing them left and right, but the directors are still there. The employees are still there.
Yeah.
We have to start renewing, start hiring new staff.
Yeah.
Directors, you know what? You've been here 25 years. Retire. Vámonos. You did nothing then. You're not going to do nothing now.
Yeah.
We're in the process of hiring people that do not have the certificates or do not have that, but are being allowed to go do that. Fine, I understand that, but give everybody an equal chance and opportunity.
Yeah.
Laredo is Laredo. Okay, and this mafiosi type of attitude that the government of Laredo, the municipality of Laredo, has embraced needs to stop.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it.
yeah.
Because I guarantee you that if it was you with a dog that was dying, or myself,
Or if
we're
I
gonna
had a
be picked
dog
up.
in a kennel in that condition, I would have been arrested.
Oh, for sure.
And the other issue, Paul, is that I think one of the things that this shelter even lacks is a foster care program. And it's sad that they haven't, even after the fact, 2 years ago, they haven't come up with anything. They don't even put pictures on the website or on Facebook, where all the dogs that can be adopted right away, or any dog that's found, put it on the web, on the internet, on social media, whatever the case may be, so people can find their dogs, so people can know, hey, this dog's available for adoption, especially during COVID. They still didn't do anything. So I even asked them, so is there a web page, where you can adopt these dogs? Because nobody, for the days that I was there, nobody went and, to adopt a dog, and I don't know if they're not allowed, or because of the situation, or because how bad the kennels are, they really don't let people go in, or they don't let people volunteer because they don't want to be exposed. A foster care program, all it does is for someone to foster a dog or a cat for a couple months.
Sure.
It frees up space at the shelter. The dogs that are sent up north for rescue programs, whatever, that's what they're doing. I saw that they're doing that. But there's nothing here locally for groups to get involved. There's nothing for volunteers to help them say, hey, I want to volunteer, but a lot of people are scared because to handle stray dogs, that's not something that most people don't want to go into a kennel with a stray dog, and especially a big dog. Pit bull breed or whatever the case may be, a Rottweiler, and I went into these kennels. I went in with these type of breeds, and they were so scared, Paul. They would go to the corner, and that's a shame, that I think they're even being scared in that shelter. There's no program to where they can go, a volunteer takes them out for a walk, even if they don't take them home and to foster them, they can have people come in, take them for a walk. But there needs to be something in place to make sure that these volunteers are trained properly, and that they're given the proper training to do so. I mean, that's all they need.
So, those manuals and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that they can be just as quick as that investigation that they did.
Yeah.
And they can probably pop up a manual like that
Yeah.
probably by tomorrow morning.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by July 5th,
Yeah.
we should have a manual.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this, Paul. When Williamson County, they built their new shelter in 2007. We had gone to contract to do the whole county, all the county buildings, and the shelter was one of them. And when we took over, I mean, it was a big shelter, and the director herself would clean the kennels, because the way cities work is they work on a budget, on an annual budget. So if something happens, they have to wait till the following year to make sure that they get the funding for that. And so this director was cleaning them, and so when we would come in towards the end of the day, they would leave us kennels empty and we would clean them. We had a supplemental PO for us to do additional stuff at the county, and that was one of the things that we took on. And so it wasn't difficult. If you know what you're doing, if you have good leadership, this shelter could be one of the best ones in the state or even in the nation. If we had someone who would know and had a good work ethic to turn things around. That's all. That's all it takes, Paul. It's not rocket science. Anybody can handle a budget. I mean, it's not rocket science because the budget's given to you every year. You just have to make sure not to overspend. That's the only requirement. Don't overspend. That's it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do that. Second, the maintenance of the animals. And treat them in a humane way to where it's not only safe but healthy for everybody.
That's the question I'm going to ask you. Are they being treated, in your point and an opinion, in a humane way?
The way that I saw the animals, no. They're not being neglected to the point where, PETA needs to come in and shut them down, or like whatever, like do a walk in and sit down and nothing like that. Now they've hired companies to start cleaning the kennels. But the thing is that there's nobody monitoring, because and this is the thing, Paul, they'll take a dog out. I don't know if they even have a schedule for feedings. I think you just feed them one time in a lot, so a lot of food gets thrown away. But they'll take the animal out and put them in a cage, and then we clean everything. They come in and then they poop. And then it's going to stay there for the whole day till the next day. But the
2 days until they clean it.
So what we started doing was some of them have it soft, so we'll wash it down into the drain because it comes apart before it gets hard. So that way, it stays clean for the whole day. But there's puppies. There's a couple kennels that they're puppies, and they make huge messes. They need a bigger kennel. There needs to be kennels for moms with their pups, because these little kennels are not cutting it, and the puppies, they get, the mom poops everywhere, the puppies start pooping everywhere, and everything gets covered. And that's not healthy. And no volunteer is going to want to clean that. And why? Because they're such enclosed in a small space.
There was a lot of people saying, bring in community hours and how come there's no community hours? Apparently there is, because the animal shelter, if you go do community hours with any of the magistrates or even the municipal court judge, and you get community service, you can pick the animal shelter to go do some work in. Apparently, that's my understanding. But also, if we can get some of, I'm pretty sure they can talk to the sheriff and say, you know what,
that's what I had read, that they wanted inmates to help out.
You can get some of the inmates to do that.
But you still need something in place to where you don't put the city
in a
liability issue. We need to make sure that there's something in place to keep the volunteers safe, even if they're doing community service or if they're inmates. We need to protect them as well, because if they go in and they don't know how to act with the animal will become aggressive. They'll become defensive, and if that happens, they're going to bite the volunteer. And then what's going to happen? We're going to get sued. Because why? Oh, because they told me, hey, get in there and clean the kennel.
I'm glad you brought up all those points, and hopefully they're listening to it and they can fix it. And we have good people that are inside our city. Don't get me wrong, but that lax attitude of, they're not going to do anything to me if I screw up, kind of thing. It's overbearing.
Yeah.
It's too many times too quick. Let's just get this thing done. Let's fix it. Let's fix the appointment. If somebody needs to, if we have to cut off our finger to save our hand, let's do it.
Yeah.
You want Laredo to prosper? Let's get it going. If not, it's going to be, it's just going to continue spiraling downward. It's not going up. It's actually going down, so, and people say, oh, well, we're moving forward. Yeah, we're moving forward in a spiral downward.
Yeah.
But all in all, I'm glad you came up and you talked. Folks, if you want to go look for a dog, you want to adopt, please go to the animal shelter and adopt.
There are a lot of good dogs there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another thing, this weekend is 4th of July weekend. It was our independence. Let's not forget what we're celebrating. It's called freedom and our rights. And let's keep that going forward and not allow our government to take it away like they did last year. All right? Till next time, much peace.
Thanks, Mark.